Welcome to the Rams postgame show. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer. Joining me from SoFi Stadium is Gilbert Manzano, who does it for the OC Register, Ailey Daily News. Gilbert, how is that locker room after this big, well, I guess not a big win, but a win versus the Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, Victor, slow it down. Not a big win, but it was a win. A win is a win. That is the mood of the locker room right now. Players are upbeat. There was loud music coming out of the locker room before Sean McVay's presser. So to get to 3-3 before the bye week was pretty much the mission all along. Like, limp into the bye week, get guys healthy, just get the win. It doesn't matter how you got the win, just get the win. And for the first three quarters, it was pretty ugly, Victor. And obviously we'll get into it, but there was a loss of Joe Noteboom, the left tackle. There was a pick six from Matthew Stafford, but then that fourth quarter, they really figured it out offensively. The defense was great. The defense was awesome. We'll break it all down. But to finally get a win in that two-game losing streak and go into the bye week 3-3 was mission accomplished overall for the Rams.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that second half, outscoring the Panthers 17-0 was what was the key, I think, for this game. Seeing them finally put together a half, especially the third and fourth quarter, scoring for the first time this season in the fourth quarter was huge. But I wanna get your takeaways right off the bat. What was your biggest takeaway? I hope I didn't take too many things there by some of the things I said, but just give us your takeaways.
Yeah, I think it's just the first, no, I want to say this, the last drive of the third quarter, you finally saw things clicking for them. And I want to say it was a Cooper Cup 22-yard reception or a catch and run. Allen Robinson had a 20-yard catch as well. And then boom, they're in the red zone out of nowhere. And then that run for Ben Skoranek, and they got creative because there's no Cam Akers. They lost Joe Noteboom. They have four backup linemen out there. So when you want to create and throw people off, you do a lot of jet sweeps and end arounds to the wide receivers. But that final drive, I think it was 11 seconds to go. Ben Skoranek got the touchdown, 17-10. Suddenly, the offense was clicking. They were doing well. Darrell Henderson got the touchdown in the fourth quarter to make it 20-10, and that was their first fourth quarter touchdown of the season. Victor, finally a fourth quarter touchdown. So that those two, I want to say they were back to back scoring drives. I forget. So those were
Yes.
all big positives, and obviously the offensive line helping out with the run game. They got 111 rushing yards. With seven carriers, eight including Matthew Stafford. So it wasn't like they finally ran the ball. Like they looked great, but they were efficient. They were creative. They made it work. But to me, that I will dwell on is that final drive in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. Like the offense finally has something. And Allen Robinson came alive. Victor, remember the name Allen Robinson? He had the jump ball near the sideline. I think on third down, he had the fade pass touchdown. So to get Allen Robinson involved with Cooper Cup, that one drive, with the back-to-back 20-yard plays, that's what they wanted to see from Stafford, Cup, and Robinson.
Yeah, and you mentioned the how well balanced this offense was today. I mean, you talk about the seven, ball carriers today. You also talk about how he Stafford spread the ball to all five. I think he had like six guys he spread the ball to today, and it was well balanced. Yeah, Cooper Cup didn't have a touchdown, but you had Ben Skoranek on a rushing 17-yard rushing touchdown on a jet sweep, and then you had Allen Robinson with that jump ball, which we've been all asking. You've been asking for this all season long, and we finally got to see it. So that was awesome to see. But I wanted to go over some of our keys going in as we previewed this matchup. You had the defense forcing a turnover. You got that with Nick Scott getting that turnover later in the game, as we tweeted out. And then also you wanted to see some of the other guys step up that are not Aaron Donald. And we saw that today with some of the stuff from the defense. We had Jalen Ramsey had his second straight game with a sack. Those are his first two career sacks, which is pretty cool to see. And then Marquise Copeland added a sack as well. So I got to give you credit for that because you called it and it came through, man. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it feels like the defense, like who are getting forgotten because how bad the offense has been. Like they're getting comfortable. They're getting that momentum. They're becoming a shutdown defense. Like I know it's the Panthers, we get it. Like they're a one man team. Christian McCaffrey, and McCaffrey pretty much did all the work for them today. But after that first drive where they did have trouble with McCaffrey, the field goal, the 3 points, that's all they scored on them on the defense because remember the pick six came on Stafford with pick six, obviously. So to only allow 3 points was big for the defense. Yeah, Jalen Ramsey getting a second career sack. It was going like this the whole time because he was happy to get two. Uh, uh, credit to Ernest Scott for tipping that interception for Nick Scott. So to end the drought of a 3 game streak without a taker was big. But we spoke to Bobby Wagner in the locker room, and he's like, we got to do better with the tackling. He kept saying they want to start scoring defensive points. Like, 3 games in a row, the Rams have been in the other end. Like the Cowboys, 49ers, and the Panthers all have gotten defensive touchdowns on Stafford, but they want to start doing that too. Like they see like the offense is struggling, they want to become not just a shutdown point wise defense. They want to start scoring and getting takeaways at a high rate, at a high volume. So I think that's like the second stage or the third stage for them to get it up to. Now they're getting comfortable though, but clean up some things, and that defense will be clicking. And Bobby Wagner, man, he's been doing great, kind of being the operator there. Uh, Aaron Donald, he didn't have to do all the work today, so I know it's the Panthers and Christian McCaffrey. I know a lot of people want McCaffrey on the Rams. Gave him trouble, but other than that, it was a really good day for them. But again, it was the Panthers.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you. I forgot to kind of mention this and ask you about this, but when you brought up the locker room and talking to Bobby Wagner, I wanted to ask you: was there any updates on left tackle Joe Noteboom, and also with the situation with Cam Akers? Do you see will we see him again in a Rams uniform? You think, and or we can just save it for another day?
Well, let me start by saying this. It was such a weird game that without Cam Akers, it was their best rushing performance of the season. I know it was a very like creative approach with 8 people and jet sweeps and wide receivers, but 111 rushing yards worked out. And then the offensive line had their best game since what, the Arizona game or the Falcons, and that was with 4 backups. So it's so strange that they finally got it together. But to answer your question, let's start with the Joe Noteboom, the left tackle who went down, who got carted off in the second quarter. They initially called it an ankle injury, Victor, but then Sean McVay said, you know what, I think it might be an Achilles injury, which they're fearing it could be an Achilles injury. So when you hear that, you tend to think it'll be a season-ending injury. So if it is the end of the season for Joe Noteboom, it's going to be another setback for this offensive line, but they have something to build on today. Uh, I don't want to get his name wrong. Alaric Jackson, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Alaric Jackson going from right guard to left tackle was outstanding. Odi Abushi finally got in at right guard to fill in the former starter for the Chargers. So there's some positives there. But to lose your left tackle for the season, possibly, I don't want to speculate, but it sounded like they're heading that way. It's going to be another challenge. But going to Cam Akers, a running back who was told to stay home, in house, private reasons for why he can't play against the Panthers. I feel like we're heading that way. Cam Akers probably is done with the Rams. And, who knows? Maybe they could repair it. Daryl Henderson was trying to, be positive when he spoke to us in the locker room. I want to say Friday, and he's like, "We're gonna fix this with Cam Akers." And then he was like, "But I also don't know anything, so who knows?" So it's just the way Sean McVay was talking about it. It sounds like they're trying to trade him or trying to part ways, but who knows? Maybe after the bye week and people have cooled off and they're talking, how can we make this work? Maybe Cam Akers regretting and staying at home and saying like, I got to figure out with Coach McVay here because that team is winning. That team needs me. I don't know, Victor. So maybe the disagreement there is too much damage has been done. They can't repair it. But Sean McVay said that he will have more on that situation for us reporters tomorrow on Zoom. So look out for that to see what happens with Cam Akers. But it's not looking good right now. It's not a good look. He called it a unique situation, something he hasn't really dealt with. So, I wouldn't be surprised if that is the end for Cam Akers with the Rams.
The next thing I wanted to ask you about the offense in terms of Matt Stafford. Uh, One of the things that we got to tweet out was this is his sixth pick six of the since joining the Rams. Should people be worried and Rams fans be worried about this? And I want to give credit to Joe Reedy from the AP who tweeted this out. So, I mean, should Rams fans be concerned with the sixth pick six from Matt Stafford now?
A little bit. I guess today it didn't hurt them, but when they happen, they come at the worst time, and then they give you the biggest damage. They score touchdowns on it. So, yeah, what is it? 8 interceptions, only 6 passing touchdowns for Matthew Stafford. Those are not the numbers you want. And you know, to be 3-3, they're getting by, but say you're in a must-win situation, and he keeps throwing an interception. The forced fumbles maybe are not on him because of the pressure, or even some of the interceptions are not on him because of the pressure. But uh, today the offensive line was better, and he still threw a bad ball there. I think he was trying to target Cooper Cup. Like the first couple of quarters, they were still trying to give it to Cooper Cup a lot, and maybe that could be an issue there. Just too much Cooper Cup. So, uh, you know, I don't know if it's an issue just yet because the offensive line doesn't really let him, work down the field to see it fully. Like, what if he had protection, right, Victor? And he's throwing
Yeah.
the ball down the field a lot. He's operating a clean pocket. Maybe those mistakes are smaller. So, say they figure it out offensively on the offensive line, and he's still making those turnovers. Then I think that's where you should start panicking and worrying about Matthew Stafford. But as we know, the career numbers, though, Victor, like he's done this throughout his career. So we'll see. He could, limit the damage for the rest of the way.
Yeah, and he had a good game today. He was 26 of 33 for 253, one touchdown and an interception. And then he was well balanced like in the second half. That's what people have been asking. I mean, you had Cup finishing with 7 catches. Allen Robinson and Ben Skoranek had both with 5 catches. So and I love the implement of the jet sweep. I mean, that really helped, like especially with that Ben Skoranek jet sweep that went in for 17 yards for a touchdown. But on the positive side, I wanted to, we're trying to keep this positive because they got a win after the 2 game losing streak. But they go into the bye now tied for first with the Niners losing to the Falcons and then the Seahawks beating the Cardinals today. So how do they rebound for, like, how do they go forward from this now that they're tied for first place?
Yeah, that's the best thing, right? Like they have all these injuries here, and they're 3-3, and they're still tied for first place in the NFC West. So I know people were freaking out about the offensive line and all that, and the offense, and it was like the end of the world. But then here we are, a bye week, 3-3. Allen Robinson is involved in the offense, and uh, I think right now it's too early to kind of start looking at the standings, but it kind of just shows you, like, no, regardless of how bad it got that first quarter of the season or the 6 games of the season, to be tied for first place, that's a positive outlook. Uh, but Victor, I know we want to be positive for the win, but I'll just say this because it was risky to run because the jet sweeps are not new. Like they've done it before because that's how they try to minimize, the damage that the offensive line has been doing because they want to make it quick and they want to be creative and they want to keep the defense on their toes and guessing. But today it finally worked. Like it wasn't working before. It was like a Brandon Powell 2 yard jet sweep, a Tutu Atwell 1 yard jet sweep, a Ben Skoranek 1 yard or Cooper Cup, but now they're being productive. Maybe they could build off of that because you know what? After the bye week, I think the offensive line will still be an issue. One thing though that we did see, unfortunately because of Joe Noteboom going down, Odi Abushi, the veteran, they finally got to play him, and when you have veteran presence, that helps out. So I wonder what that means for Matt Skura, but it sounds like they were pleased with the center, Jeremiah Coloni, who was in the police academy not too long ago, apparently. So to be in the police academy and then be starting games at center, that kind of summarizes this offensive line. But Victor, one thing that really stuck to me, and I know they won, but remember it was like 2nd and 1. I want to say the second quarter, and they had 2 carries. Ronnie Rivers, Malcolm Brown, both no game. After that, Joe Noteboom got hurt. So that was kind of like a summary of the season so far. Like they couldn't get the carry. The offensive line got an injury. But who knows, Victor? Maybe that fourth quarter, that last drive in the third quarter was something that could turn around, or it could just be the Panthers. This is just me trying to think here, like, what am I looking at here? But they try to keep the same old to gain chemistry. It worked against the Panthers. It was risky, but it worked. But I don't think they should keep doing same old after the bye week. Hopefully, if you're a Rams fan, I know people are asking drastic changes, big changes. Hopefully, for them who are asking for that, they will get that. But who knows? After seeing Robinson have a day, the rushing attack was good and solid. Maybe they're like, hey, Van Jefferson's going to come back. Brian Allen will be back. Small changes, but I don't think this team needs small change. I think they need bigger changes, and that's something I'm going to be very curious to see after the bye week.
Yeah, and I mean the schedule doesn't get easy coming out of the bye week. You know, you get the Niners who are just ravaged with injuries right now. So this might be the best time to face them coming off the bye week. And then you got the Buccaneers who lost to the Steelers. So maybe there's hope there. They can get it together. If they can split that, then you're back at, you can be 4-4 and you're looking good halfway through the season as you move on. So like you said, just take it game by game. Don't look too much ahead on the schedule, and then things will get better. So let me just get your final thoughts. I know you got to run. You got a lot going on there at SoFi. So give us your final thoughts on the Rams win tonight.
Yeah, I feel like I really went off on my tangent there on they need changes, but you know, I'm gonna stick to the offensive line and even the offense as a whole, Victor, because like, can they really get away with doing jet sweeps on the 49ers, on the Buccaneers? Can they keep doing that? Like, say they want to make the playoffs, and you're gonna face the 49ers or maybe I mean the not the Panthers, the Cowboys again, right? Like, is that gonna this what you saw today? Will that work against those teams? Like, the goal is to get to the playoffs, and what I saw on the field is not gonna get it done against those quality teams. So how do you make changes? But the good thing, Victor, I'm gonna go on the positive. That defense is getting settled in, and it's still early in the season. Like you don't think about them. Like I know the the Cowboys are getting like worked right now, but that Cowboys defense was pretty good. The 49ers, the Eagles defense, give them credit to the Eagles. But they're getting to that point where like this defense is really good. Now they get the takeaways, they get some pressure, they get some scoring. That would be big because say they run like this Jimmy G Cooper Rush offense, and all you got to do is be efficient and let the defense do your work. Maybe that they'll get it done. But to have four backups on the offensive line, Victor, I'm just wondering how will they try to adjust to all that. But if they get Brian Allen back, they get Van Jefferson back, some other guys. That's a big thing. If they get healthy, who comes out of the bye week? We'll see how they play it out.
Yeah, and one of the things I just wanted to say to go off of that is you got to stay positive right now in terms of you're 3-3 at this point. Just keep improving. This the identity of the Rams right now is their defense is really good. Build this the rest of the season off your defense. Run the ball and stop turning the ball over with Matt Stafford. You don't need to force it. As long as you can get some wide receiver screens, some jet sweeps, things like that, and protect the ball going forward. I think you kind of are starting to see the identity of this team is you're going to rely on that defense, and the offense has to do just enough. Unfortunately, that this offense isn't what it's been, that juggernaut that we see from Sean McVay. So, and I'll leave it at that for now, and we'll get more into it during the bye week as we move forward and kind of preview the Niners matchup. Give me your 12 pack of beer player of the game.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need a what is it called, a 24 pack of Modelos for this one because I'm gonna give it to the offensive line to play that well after another shuffling. Odi Abushi, I'm done butchering his name, so I'm gonna call him Jackson. A Jackson. Until I figure out the first name, I even asked him. I say, "Hey, did I get it right this time?" He said no. So I'm embarrassing myself with Jackson, but to go from right guard to left tackle, that was great. Odi playing right. Jeremiah Coloni, Rob Havenstein, Bobby Evans too. So for them, people were criticizing. I was talking to Bobby Evans, like, "Hey, do you kind of care about what people are saying? Like, the people are bashing you guy right now." He's like, "We don't pay attention to the noise. We're gonna do our thing." In that meeting, for maybe Rob Hammond saying deserves the Ballena Pacifico if he wants because he
Nice.
let the players own a meeting and it worked out. So they didn't want to panic, but they needed a meeting. So the offensive line go and chug all that beer if you want.
Yeah, for me, it's Allen Robinson, man. Like it was good to see him. He was so happy, even during that catch that he made. He was having a little. He was playing around with Corey Littleton there, and it was just awesome to see him be happy, man. He looks like that touchdown really helped him out today, and I'm sure a lot of fantasy players were happy to see Allen Robinson get involved. So I'm gonna give him that because he deserved it today, and take that 12 pack, man, and have a good time. But that'll do it for us tonight. Gilbert, let the people know what you got that you're working on, what stories, what you got, and then lead us off.
Yeah, everything I mentioned about the offense and the offensive line. Check it out right now at the OC Registered LA Daily News, or follow me on Twitter at gmanzano24 for my tweets of linking out my stories. I'm working another one on the defense, how they're doing well. maybe even more on the offensive line because they deserve it. They played that well under the circumstances they had. But also, if you're watching the replay of this video, comment here with some questions because I think you and I, Victor, will do a video during the bye week. What they need to do to fix his team or whatever they need to work on during the bye week. So if you have some concerns or questions that could help us on that video for the bye week, leave a comment under this video and we'll get to it. So we want engagement, we want all that stuff. So, but Victor, I'm done promoting. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm done. All I was gonna say is make sure you're listening to What's Up Bolts. They got your post game show tomorrow for the Chargers and Broncos. So I wanted to make sure we got them involved as well. So with that said, Gilbert, take it away.
Yeah, and I already saw the Monday Night Football truck, so they're ready to get going for another game at SoFi Stadium. But on that note, ya nos vamos, pues vámonos.